Richard Rogers, often considered one of the best architects the world has ever seen, was such a driving force within the architectural world, he even helped start a monumental movement. According to John Zawalski's article, Richard Rogers for Encyclopedia Britannica, Richard George Rogers was born on July 23rd of 1933 in the city of Florence, Italy. An interest in architecture might have developed from his dad's cousin, Ernesto Rogers, who was a prominent architect in Italy at the time. Rogers' mother also provided him with an interest for the visual arts. The family moved back to England near the start of World War II, and Rogers went into the public school system there. However, he was not the best student, which was caused most likely by an undiagnosed case of dyslexia. Due to the Festival of Britain in 1951, Rogers was exposed to the modern architecture of Le Corbusier and Mies van der Rohe. After spending some time with Ernesto in Trieste while being in the National Service, Rogers attended AA, also known as the Architectural Association. In 1961, Rogers and his newlywed Susan Broomwell, moved to the United States. While in the U.S., Rogers would obtain a master's degree in architecture at Yale. A love for Frank Lloyd Wright was developed by Rogers in college, and trips to see Wright's work were accompanied by Sue, Norman Foster, and another peer. After moving back to England, Team 4 was formed, which consisted of Rogers, Sue, Foster, and Wendy Cheeseman. After some commissioned works, Team 4 eventually broke up in 1966. In 1971, Rogers met Ronzo Piano, and they quickly started the practice, Piano and Rogers. During the same year, they won the commission to design the Centre Pompidou in Paris. This building launched both of their careers into the spotlight. After the firm split in 1978, Rogers started his own practice. The first building with his new firm was the Lloyds Building, which further cemented him as an architectural icon. After a plethora of projects, Rogers eventually retired from his firm in 2020 and recently passed away in 2022. Richard Rogers was known for his progressive and high-tech architectural design. In the article Biography, Richard Rogers, the Pritzker Architecture Prize, he mentioned in the regards of future cities that they will no longer be zoned as today in isolated one-activity ghettos. Rather, they will resemble the more richly layered cities of the past. Living, working, shopping, learning, and leisure will overlap and be housed in continuous, varied, and changing structures. Rogers attempted to answer social questions within his work, which is prevalent in the Lloyds Building. He also practiced a style known as Bowelism. Bowelism is a modern style of architecture which has all of the HVAC, sewage pipes, and elevators located on the outside of the building to allow maximum space to be had on the inside. The term was coined by Sir Nicholas Pensvert, mentioned in the article Bowelism, written by Hizar, which says, "I saw the other day a design for a building that looked like a series of stomachs sitting on a plate, or bowels connected by bits of bristle." A common description for such buildings are inside out, which the Lloyds Building and Centre Pompidou certainly have properties of. Due to his use of high-tech architecture and Bowelism, maintenance costs are low, while also having a unique aesthetic that proves to be quite functional. One of Rogers' most recognizable projects, the Lloyds Building, is a staple within the architecture world. According to Lizzie Crooks' article, the Lloyds Building is Richard Rogers' first high-tech office block. The building was commissioned by the Lloyds of London, one of the largest architectural firms in the world. The building is located on 1 Lime Street in London's financial district. The Lloyds of London building commissioned Rogers because the previous headquarters became too small and cramped for the growing numbers of workers, and it would be very hard to choose a more fitting architect for the job, as Rogers' use of Bowelism allowed for the utmost amount of space to be utilized. Construction began in 1978, the same year that Rogers split from Piano. A challenge was quickly presented as the original 1928 Lloyds of London building was situated where the new one would be. The building was demolished, but Rogers decided to keep the facade of the building to respect and pay homage to the original building and architect. Him doing so creates an interesting conflict between the past and present of design. The building was finished in 1986, being his first completed project with his new firm. The Lloyds of London called for a long-lasting building that will also be flexible throughout the future changes and needs. In his manifesto, A Place for All People, Rogers states that the Lloyds of London building was designed as a flexible machine for a financial marketplace, but also as a carefully considered expression of those activities designed both for the user and for the enjoyment of the passerby. The design of the building met the social requirements needed for the Lloyds of London. As mentioned previously, the use of balism exposes all of the building's surfaces on the exterior. This creates a construction-like aesthetic. Another contributor to this look are the cranes on top of the building, which are functional. The combination of these two properties allow for convenience and a cost-effective way to repair and maintain the building. The facade of the building is also cladded in sheets of stainless steel and glass, which reflect Rogers' high-tech designs. The 14-story building revolves around a 60-meter atrium known as the underwriting room. The atrium has a massive glass ceiling, letting a plethora of light flood the Lloyds building. Connected to the underwriting room are 6 service towers meant for the building's circulation, plumbing, mechanical service, escape routes, and firefighting. The areas around the underwriting room are open floor plan offices, which allow for changes to occur smoothly. The first floors also house a restaurant, coffee shop, wine bar, and a library. Escalators take up some of the void inside the building, while also linking floors connect together conveniently. The giant concrete columns act as a support within the underwriting room. These columns, however, are some of the only visual uses of concrete, which act as a stark contrast compared to the mainly steel and glass appearance. Another interesting homage takes place on the 11th floor, where the original 18th century dining room from the original Lloyds building resides. Richard Rogers mentioned in his previously stated manifesto that the first line of my practice constitution states, "Architecture is inseparable from the social and economic values of the individuals who practice it and the society that sustains it." I find that the Lloyds building utmost perfectly displays this notion. Rogers followed the ideas of functionality which appear in the building. The building is a business powerhouse that is not only engrossing but also practical. Rogers was obsessed with city planning, where all members of society and different businesses can coincide, and I think that this building perfectly reflects those ideas on a smaller scale. A place for business, education, social interaction was created by Richard Rogers, and that is the Lloyds Building. Thank you.